All right, everyone. Good night. To talk some basketball, this is Don Halling with Prep Girls Hoops Network here in Illinois, and I've got a couple of the Prairie State Conference coaches with me tonight. I've got Coach Jeff Oller from Father McGivney and Coach Lee Green from Marquette Catholic in Alton. Thanks for joining me tonight, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem.
I guess with all same format with all of the other interviews, I guess we'll start talking about last year and kind of review the 19-20 season. Jeff, I know it was a pretty exciting season for you guys, so I'll start with you and let you tell the story from Father McGivney's year.
Yeah, but we were really happy with this year. We had high expectations coming in, probably the highest we've ever had at the program. So it was more so just the experience that we had returning. It's our fourth year of varsity basketball. A lot of the kids were starting as freshmen. So Madison Webb, Macy Hoppus, two of our seniors stepped in day one. We're starting. Anna McKee, same, but she was a junior. So we just had so much experience. Even our role players, just because through this program they've had that opportunity. So we kind of came in with high expectations. The kids did well. Really competed well at our tournaments. We won the Dupo Cat Classic. Start the year, we went over to Lebanon for the Christmas tournament. Got second there, lost to Greenville in championship, and then we went over to Carrollton and lost in a third place game in overtime to Marquette. It was a good game. So then we went over to those were all of our tournaments regular season wise. We won the conference barely. We won in overtime versus Marquette. A couple of good games throughout this year for them. And then we had a nice run to kind of end the season. So it was kind of an up and down year. We started off really hot, 13-0 to start the year, and then kind of weren't playing great basketball in the middle of the season. We're playing okay basketball, but got going there at the end of the year, kind of the right time, and kind of rolled in the postseason with some momentum. Had a nice stretch in the season, won regionals and sectionals, lost in supers, but finished 27-8, and it was a good year overall, and really happy for the girls. They put in a lot of work, so to see them kind of finish on a stretch like that was really rewarding.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about it. I know, of course, it would be exciting for anybody, but with a school that's so new, and as you talked about, just a few years in, what was it? I know there's been some other programs, you being the athletic director, I guess you'd know better than me even, that there's been some other programs that have success, but just kind of talk about what it's like to have a school that's that new and have a run like that, and just the excitement it creates amongst everybody.
Right. It was definitely exciting. I mean, student body was into it, obviously, and all the people that started the school, really got into it. And we had a run with our volleyball team a couple years back, and soccer's had a good start. So to have some athletic programs get going like that, it's exciting, and hopefully we can continue that momentum. So.
Okay. And then last but not least, as we get into who's returning next year, you'll get a little bit deeper into some of those girls, but, I'd be remiss if I didn't give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about some of your seniors and what they did for you this year. And I know I just saw looks like Madison made a decision on playing some basketball in college. So maybe talk about those girls a little bit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Madison's going to IC to play basketball, first girl in our program to keep playing. She had a great year. She had a lot of accolades at the end of the year. IBCA, third team, All-State, AP honorable mention. Was mentioned in the third team for the STL today. So she had a lot of accolades coming in. She's just come so far, but it's definitely all earned. She's put in so much work. We talked freshman year when she came in. We thought she was going to be a good player, but the progress that she made was unexpected, and it was awesome. So, and then Macy Hoppus, she's always been just a bolt of energy out there, but to see her kind of turn into an actual point guard throughout the 4 years was awesome. And they kind of really laid the foundation, and it's going to be huge for us next year in that these underclassmen had a chance to learn from them. We haven't ever had that, they just we were learning. Now everybody knows what the expectations are, how we want to play. So that was huge, but yeah, we're going to really miss those two.
Okay, great. And one last thing, I guess we could get into it later, but it's on my mind now, so I don't want to forget. Talk a little bit about what it kind of has done for the team, the unfortunate situations that you've had with Madison and injuries the last 2 years, and how that kind of played into how it developed the rest of the team.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, you don't want to have an injury to start the year, but that's how Madison's last 2 years started, was with injury. And the girls had to learn to play without her, which I made other people step up. One in particular would be Charlize Lehman for sure. She came in freshman year. We were going to kind of work her in. There was 2 injuries right off the bat to starters, and she was starting the very first game of the year. It's been big for her development. It's kind of sped it up, and she's really developed nicely. I think that's going to continue. But yeah, just other people having to fill in. And I mean, not just Madison. We've had multiple, which everybody does, you know. But it did pay off, I think, in the long run once we had everybody back.
Right. Okay, great. Lee, kind of jump over to you now. Tell us a little bit about this past year and the successes and such at Alton Marquette.
Oh yeah, absolutely. First of all, I want to congratulate Jeff on what a great year. I mean, he's just done an unbelievable job there, and the success that he had this year, getting all the way to supers, and then Madison Webb going to play college basketball. I really think that's great. I really can't say enough what a great job that you've done there, Coach. So I want to give you those props.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was a very good year for us. You know, the previous year we started 3 freshmen and a sophomore and 1 senior. So, you know, going into this year, I really expected us to, you know, be a lot better coming off a 2021 win season. And we started off in Columbia tournament and won our first game. So then we played Greenville, which had beat us by 40 in the regional championship game the year before. I mean, they were a load, you know, they were so good. And I know they lost a couple of players. They were still had 3 starters back, and, you know, had a bunch of role players that were part of that beat down that we took in regionals. And, you know, we beat them on the last second shot in the Columbia tournament in the semifinals, which was just amazing game. It was really good. And that put us into the championship. And then we beat Columbia in the championship. So we started the season off winning the Columbia tournament, which was great. And, you know, and we actually got off to a great start. And our first loss was the Breeze Mater Dei at their place, which is, you know, understandable. Still haven't beat them. They're one of the few schools I have not beat since I've been at Marquette. But, you know, I don't think a lot of teams have. But we ended up, you know, just, you know, then the Christmas tournament, Jerseyville, we got to the championship game and finished second place in the Jerseyville tournament, lost to Jerseyville. And then we played, Jeff said it earlier, we played in the Carrollton tournament, and we ended up beating them on a last second shot as well. It was a fun game. You know, I mean, if you're a fan, I mean, it was great. And you know, as coaches, it probably wasn't so much fun until the last shot, but, you know, for us, it was great. But I mean, it was a good tournament for us. And to beat Father McGivney was unbelievable because, like I said, they had a great year. And then finishing really strong, really winning like 13 out of our last 14 games heading into the regionals, and beat Gillespie on their home floor for the second time this year to get to the regional championship game against Breeze Mater Dei, which was the 1 seed. And, you know, we were down to 8 at half and ended up losing by 16. You know, they beat us by 8 each half, and unbelievable team. But, you know, I got all 5 starters back, and I think that was this great experience for us. And we went 24-7. So I think that's pretty good. Our schedule was a little tougher than it was the year before. So, you know, that was good to win that many games, and all the kids that we had, all the sophomores and some of the freshmen that we played. You know, it was a good year. I was definitely happy. We didn't reach our goal that we wanted to. You know, my goal is to win regionals every year, and we've been beating a regional championship game 2 years in a row. So that wasn't achieved, but at the same time, I think we met most of our goals for as young as we were, and going 24-7. We did not win conference. Like Jeff said earlier, I mean, 2 great games with McGivney. Oh my gosh. Basically they controlled the game when we played them at home, and we ended up getting a late run, and he ended up, you know, then they going to overtime, and they took over in overtime. They beat us at home in overtime for the conference championship. So that was another good feat on your guys's. But yeah, it was a fun year. You were along for the ride as well. So, you know, I mean, you were there for a little bit of ups and downs. So it was a good year. I was definitely happy.
Okay. Just a couple of things I want to have you talk a little bit further about. First of all, I guess sort of that stretch where you talked about losing to McGivney at home there, and that was, as I'm sure you remember, the first home game of the year finally, but a real tough stretch there with McGivney, the CM shootout against Breeze Central, and then Freeburg right there. And obviously the first 2 games were lost, and then the third one was a win, and probably played pretty well that day. Just want to maybe have you talk a little bit about that tough stretch and maybe what you think that did for the team to have to work through that and then come out with a win on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Our schedule was so lopsided this year, and we really tried to, this next year should be a little better for us. But like you just mentioned, I mean, our first home game, I think that would have been maybe late December, and we played Father McGivney, and we lost to him at home. It was a tough loss. It's just a battle, teams going at each other, and we lose. Then on that Friday night, we had to go play Breeze Central at the CM shootout, and we're up 10 late in the third quarter. And that was such a big game for seedings in the regionals. We're up 10 late in the third, and we ended up losing by 10. So we ended up getting beat by 20, the last 9.5 minutes of that game. And that was a very disappointing and tough loss for us. And then that was Friday night. And then on Saturday, we were home against Freeburg, which, went in the sectionals and won 24, 25 games this year. And we ended up winning that game. So that was a 3-game, unbelievable. I hope I never have to go through that again, because when the season started, I actually had a full set of hair, and and after those 3 games, I lost them all. But yeah, it was definitely a good stretch for us that really challenged us. Playing McGivney on Thursday, and then playing Breeze Central, Friday, and then Freeburg Saturday. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, McGivney went to Supers. Central went to the first round of sectionals, and so did Freeburg, right? I mean, so that was definitely a good stretch, and it really, I thought our kids grew from that, and after that, that's where we went on our run, and we went to the Jerseyville tournament and really played extremely well until we ran in a Jerseyville team that was playing extremely well in the championship game. But yes, that was a good stretch for us.
Okay. The other thing I wanted you to talk about a little bit, I mean, none of us like to talk about the bad things out there, but as I mentioned with Jeff and what he'd been through with Madison being hurt, talk a little bit about the impact, of course, obviously a big impact in losing Abby Williams when she went down with a knee injury, not only though, but what it did to the team this year, but specifically then what you think that maybe helps for as far as next year, which we'll get into next year more later. But, just kind of talk a little bit about losing Abby there in January and what that kind of did for the rest of the season.
Yeah, that was definitely a big hit for us. There's no question about it. She was our second leading scorer and our leading rebounder and our best defender. And, she's just a scrapper. I mean, she's always on the floor. I mean, she's just, you can't teach what she does. She's just plays so hard. And so losing her, I remember when I was out on the floor and she told me her knee popped, and I was telling the trainer, I was like, my season just flashed before my eyes, because we had, a lot of aspirations of moving and going deep this year. And he goes, I don't think she tore it, coach. And I'm like, okay, this and that. And she was out a week and a half, and then she finally went and got an MRI, and it was torn. So yeah, it was a big hit. There's absolutely no doubt about it. You can't, it's hard to replace that. Everybody has injuries. There's absolutely no doubt about it. But I mean, she's our second best player on our team, and she's very, very good. I mean, and so we had to adjust. There's no doubt, and we used several different people, and those kids, they all stepped up, I thought, and we actually really had a pretty good winning percentage with her out. Now our schedule was a little not as tough in the second half as it was in the first half once she went down, but we did have some tough games still, and I thought some of the girls that I didn't use as much had to play really stepped up and played very well. And that really is going to help our depth for next year. And like you said, we'll talk about that later, but I mean, that really helped us down the stretch. Some of these girls really stepped up, and it definitely hurt her, but I really thought that those girls gave us a little boost as well, actually.
Yep, I agree. Okay, well then with that, we'll move on to next year. And Jeff, I'll turn it back over to you. So talk a little bit and maybe get kind of a little more specific into some of the players and such, but let's talk about who you have coming back next year, and maybe tell everybody, some of the people, names that they may not know that, will have to step up and contribute a lot more next year.
Right. So we're returning 3 starters, and then a couple that came off the bench pretty quick. So we actually got a lot of people with varsity experience that are coming back. Anna McKee's obviously the top there. She's going to be a senior, going to lead us offensively and defensively. But I think we'll probably have a lot more balance offensively than people are thinking we will. Charlie Slayman, she'll be a junior next year. She's been developing, as I said earlier, and I think she's going to continue to develop. Rachel Maller will be a senior next year. She's one of our other returners. She can shoot it. Kind of streaky, but when she gets hot, she can shoot it. 2 of our first 3 off the bench, Riley Zumwalt, she played the top, kind of spelled Anna at the top of the defense, and her offense game's kind of coming along, but she's just a hustle player, plays hard, gets rebounds, plays good defense. Libby Teltorst, another junior next year, kind of get some minutes in there for our post players as well. I think she'll have a little bit bigger role next year too. Let's see, Alexis Bond. So she kind of cracked the rotation in the postseason. It was kind of big for us in that stretch, spelling our bigs, and I think she's going to step into a big role as well. And then we have a pretty deep freshman class. They didn't really get as many minutes in varsity because we finally had some talent and some experience there in the upper class. So, but they're a deep class, and I think Mary Harkins is one, little point guard. She can shoot it, can handle the ball. She had a couple games this year in JV where she hit 5 or 6 threes. So we're hoping that she can take on some point guard responsibilities next year so we can keep Anna off ball. That would be preferred. Who else? Sophia Ivnik. So that's another freshman. Biggest girl we've ever had in the program. I know it's a short history, but we've never really had anybody over 5'9.5" or so. She's close to 6 foot, might be 6 foot, but she really came on at the end of the year. Just even scout team in practice, there was times where our varsity could not stop her. So we're hoping for big things from her. Probably 4 or 5 other girls, freshman through senior year, that are going to kind of emerge. We don't know who that's going to be. The summer would be huge for that, but we'll see where that is. But I think there's going to be a couple there as well because there's some other girls in the program that are going to get opportunities, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned it there. I'm sure, obviously, one of the big things you'd like to see is maybe what some of those younger point guards types might be able to do for you. Because as you said, that it's not a matter of Anna can't fill that role, but ideally you wouldn't want her to fill that role when she's your top scorer.
Absolutely, and just even getting the varsity experience and see how they mesh with each other and how they play with those other varsity girls, and that'd be big. So
yeah. I know obviously you and I have talked about her a lot. I know certainly Lee knows a lot about her, but for those people who may not be as familiar with the conference and with some of these players, talk a little bit about Anna. I know, we all see her and see her, how much she gets her hands on balls at the top of that press and that zone and how effective she is on the defensive side. Clearly she's got a pretty streaky and sometimes very, very hot 3-point shot as she did to Marquette in December up in their gym. But, it seems to me like defensively, she just is where she's really just so strong.
Yeah, she has great anticipation. She kind of knows when's the right time to go get her hand on the ball and knows the right spots to be. She just kind of has that sixth sense that some players have and picked it up really quick. Offensively though, yeah, she's a little streaky, but I think she's got a lot more to an offensive game than just shooting the ball. And we're really trying to get that out of her. If the three's not falling, try to get the basket a little bit, get in the mid-range. She has a nice floater, but she didn't use it as much. But she started to at the end of the season. So I think she's a lot more diverse offensively than maybe what she gets credit for. She's a shooter, and sometimes she's not going to stop shooting if she's not making it. But that's what a lot of shooters do. But we're hoping that she can affect the game in multiple ways, which I think she can.
Yeah, and something you said there, I think sometimes she's probably the same way. The rest of her offensive game, maybe the rest of us don't give her enough credit, and she probably doesn't give herself enough credit for it either, as far as using it. So, right. Okay, great. Lee, I'll jump over to you then. Obviously, as you talked about before, most of the team, coming back next year. Talk a little bit about kind of who all that's going to be, going to some of the players specifically, and kind of what you're looking for next year.
Yeah, like I said earlier, my 5 starters are all back. We had 2 seniors on this team last year, and they were great kids, unbelievable kids. Both of them 4-year players in our program. So when I took over 4 years ago, they were incoming freshmen. So we had them all 4 years, and but they were role players. There's no doubt. So our top basically our top 8 or 9 players are coming back, and our 5 starters led by Adrena Snipes, averaged around 20, almost 22 points a game. And, obviously I don't have it in front of me, but I mean, I know it was 6+ rebounds and 5+ steals, I think, and assists and all that. And she's broke the record at Marquette in steals, for a single season. The first 2 years she's there, she's already over 1,000 points. She did that before end of her sophomore season. I mean, she's just really a special talent, to be honest with you. It's a pleasure to coach her. She comes to practice every day and works hard. She leads by example. We all, as coaches, as you know, we wish she'd be a little bit more vocal and, take the lead, but she does lead by example because all the girls do look up to her. And she's just really, really good. I'm just lucky to have her in my program. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And Abby Williams, obviously, is the other starter. She's, about 2.5 months removed from ACL surgery. So we're hoping to have her back by, early December. And she's a load, I mean, she's tough. I mean, I think she's definitely could play college basketball as well. And Kylie Kirchner will be a senior. She's been a varsity player since her freshman year. She's been a starter sophomore and junior year, and she's been part of the regional championship. Actually, Kylie's played in 3 straight regional championship games. I mean, so she's got, a lot of experience. She's one of those one of those players that just doesn't get any accolades in the paper because she only scores about 5 or 6 points a game, but she gets 7 rebounds, gets a bunch of jump balls, guards the toughest defender in the post all the time. She's really athletic and a quiet kid. She just goes about her business. I mean, she knows every offensive play from a guard position to a post position. She's very smart that way, and she's just a great kid. So she'll be our only senior next year, starter. And then we have Cameron Fondry, a feisty guard. She's like a gnat, just all over the place, guarding people. And, it wasn't the best offensive year for Cam. She had some sickness during the year, but I think she's going to bounce back and really have a great year for us. And she's a really dedicated kid and really wants to do good. And I think her sickness really bothered her this year. She was out for a couple weeks at one point. So, but defensively, she's phenomenal. And hustle-wise, I mean, you can't teach that. And then Jillian Nelson, which I really think she's going to be a junior. I think she's the key to our program, to be honest with you. And it was kind of crazy I say that because Adrena is unbelievable, but I know what Adrena can do. I know what Abby can do. Jillian is a very athletic kid. She's an unbelievable soccer player, plays high-level soccer, club soccer. Been a starter on varsity as a soccer player as a freshman. Played varsity as a freshman with us in basketball. She was one of our top reserves. Started every game last year that she was available with us if she wasn't there because of sickness. About a 5'9", long, lanky, runs like a deer. Had some big-time games for us, but also, struggled a little bit at times as well because she's still trying to figure out her body and her basketball skill. But I really think that she is really going to turn some heads next year as a junior. I really am. So that's the 5 starters, and we got a Haley Porter, HP. She started like 5 games for us. Just a feisty little 1-2 guard. Really can shoot it real well and plays her rear end off and guards you and can handle the basketball. And, she's continuing to get better, every day. And we had, Carly, we played about 10 kids. So, Carly Fosterling, Megan Meyer, Atira Merriweather, Claire Rogers, those are all the underclassmen there. I don't know if I'm leaving anybody out. I hope I'm.
Your freshmen from last year that'll be sophomores that can do a little bit.
Right. So those are the kids that, were definitely in our top 10 rotation, but we actually suited up 3 freshmen that played freshman JV and varsity, and that would be Peyton Patterson, Haley Williams, and Nia Ballinger. And Nia Ballinger was our leading scorer on the freshman team and our JV team, and she played some varsity for us. And I tell you what, we didn't do this award, but if you had this award of the most improved player, and she was only a freshman. So, it's kind of to say, hey, she's only a freshman, but from the summer to February, she was definitely the most improved player in our program. I mean, she can defend. She's very athletic. And I tell you what, her shot is unbelievable. I mean, she lit the scoreboard up on the JV program and the freshmen. And she did not have a varsity uniform until about December. And when I saw her just killing it on JV, I'm like, I got to give her a uniform. And Haley Williams can just guard anybody. I mean, Haley Williams walked in the program as a freshman, could guard anybody on the varsity level, but offensively had a long ways to go. But we gave her that varsity uniform because of her defensive prowess. And then Peyton Patterson, is the all-time leading scorer at her middle school in East Alton, Wood River area, and is an absolute scoring machine and had a lot of work to do with her defense and all that. And she played varsity basketball and averaged double digits on JV and freshman. So, I mean, those three girls are going to be sophomores with all our juniors. And like I said, we only have two seniors. So we're loaded at the sophomore and junior position. So we're definitely excited about next year. There's no question about it.
Okay, great. Again, as I know that just as this year, I think we're talking to the two teams that will fight out for the conference championship again next year, but I guess I'll just kind of throw it out to both of you. You want to talk about anybody else that you see? I know, Nokomis had a lot of young talent. Is there anybody else that you guys see that you think is getting a little bit better and can, maybe not challenge you guys, but maybe fight for that third spot out there?
I do think Nokomis is going to be a lot better. They had a lot of underclassmen talent. I think they're well coached. They've been in that system. I think they come out and be a pretty solid team. I'm interested to see what happens over at East Alton. Joe retired, but they always seem to have tough, athletic kids. So see who comes in there and could possibly be a good team as well. So
right, yeah, I think I know Metro is still kind of trying to define their way, losing Destiny that's played so much for them. I think Rob will have a little bit of a challenge there. But yeah, I certainly agree. I think it'd be interesting to see what happens at East Alton Wood River, and I think Nokomis will. They played so many freshmen. I think they're just going to continue to get better. Lee, did you have anybody? What did you think about those teams, or have anybody else you want to talk about?
Oh yeah, I definitely think Nokomis would be that team with the next tier for sure. Like Coach said earlier, I mean he's a good coach, and they play a system, and I think that's what. It's just like Coach Oller, he has this system and he doesn't go from it. And I think that's what makes them so successful. And I think that's what, Nokomis, he's had great teams in the past, and he's played so many young kids. He plays that 1-2-2, and it's if you're not making shots or you make lazy passes, you're going to have a long night. And so I think there was a lot of young talent there. There's no doubt. I think when they were in 8th grade, I think they won state, with their state thing, those freshmen this year, and their post player, Sable, don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but she was a load with us, I mean, she had double digits against us. I think she had double digits at halftime. And, so they'll definitely be there. I mean, obviously I have no idea with East Alton Wood River with the shutdown of schools. I don't think they've hired anybody yet. And that's kind of been on the downfall. I agree with you, Don, about Metro. I think they're gonna take a step back. I just, Rob's a good coach and a good guy, but I just think with Destiny leaving, she was pretty good. And to be honest with you, I can't comment on Bunker Hill because you know why? Because I haven't played him in 2 years because we've been snowed out. So I have no idea. So I don't even know anything about them. I don't even know what they run or anything. So
Yes, to Alton Marquette, unfortunately the Bunker Hill program is only a rumor.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Anything else, Jeff? Anything else you want to add about your team? Anybody you think you may have missed, or anything else you want to comment as far as McGivney?
no, I don't think so. I think we covered it.
Okay. Lee, anything else you wanted to add?
I'm hoping that, we can play in June, but it doesn't look like we will. But I mean, I'm hoping we can because, you really want to try some different things. And I got some good ideas what I think we could do next year that would make us better. And I'm hoping I could try that out in June, but I just really, really believe that if everybody continues to grow like our team has, that we can really make a run next year, kind of like the run that Father McGivney made this year. I really, truly believe that. And I'm just excited. You know, we're 24-7. You know, we've won 45 games in the last 2 years with this group. It's just 2A, the 2A regional has been unbelievable the last 2 years, and it's just hard to get out. You know, we had to go against Greenville last year, and they were, you know, they won 30. They were 30-2. You know, and then this year we got Mater Dei. You know, they go to the sectional championship game. So, you know, last few years the team that beat us made always sectional championship game. The team they lost to have won state. So, you know, it's you know, it's part of it. But I'm just, you asked me if I had anything left. I believe I'm making that run this year. That's I'm not going to be shy about it. That's how I feel.
Yeah. Well, no harm in that. I will just say that come next year, you know, the two of you hopefully can at least finish a game in 4 quarters and not have to take the extra minutes to get it done. And
Please.
yeah, for Lee's heart, if nothing else. But yeah, again, both great seasons. You know, something that Jeff will remember forever, I'm sure, and hope to repeat. But the first time's always the most special. So I appreciate you guys both taking the time tonight. Both have great programs going on, and you know, hopefully we have an opportunity to get ready before next fall. But if nothing else, I guess next fall get back at it and get ready to go again. And I know you both have great seasons against next year. So thanks for taking the time tonight. I do appreciate it.
Thanks, Don, and thanks for all your coverage that you provide for the girls. It's awesome.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, have a great night.
All right.
All right. See you.
Yep.